special. Well, not special for a certain panelist over on the draft panel, seeing Liquid's demise at the hands of the teenagers of Team Spirit. It was getting slightly awkward in the studio, but it's okay because we felt sorry for him and we actually gave him a job. So you'll be meeting Aiden again in the draft panel very shortly once we are ready to get into things. There he is, give him a wave. His first TI as well. It's all right, you're doing great. We are ready very soon to get into the lobby, but you know what? It's prediction time, boys. 10 seconds.
2-0. IG bounce back.
2-1 Spirit.
Okay, let's get into game 2.
Team Spirit versus Invictus Gaming. Game 2.
Hello and welcome back to the draft panel. Once again, we have the pro that Frankie was talking about, Insania, and of course, Lacoste. How did you see that, Lacoste? You said at the end of that last draft, I don't like this draft, but I like Team Spirit.
I did, because I saw the confidence, them walking on the stage, there was a bit of a delay, they're really having fun, spirits are high. And I love the confidence in the end, going for that tier 4 towers. This is the snap decision making that you need to, say, we go right now. Someone needs to scream, someone needs to yell, and everyone followed. And I really like that.
Would you stand with your decision or your choice of words that the draft was still better for IG, but they just outplayed the other?
I do. There were a couple of mistakes from IG. IG had this big 3 BKB timing that they did not execute perfectly, going for the high ground. Maybe there was a bit of a mistake giving Aegis to the different hero. You usually want to, as you said in our green room, I'll quote you want to give Aegis to the hero that deals the tower damage. So that should have been Lesh instead of Monkey King.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, if you want to aim to go high ground within the Aegis timer, then you want to put the Aegis on the hero that's going to deal tower damage. And traditionally, that is your position 1 and your carry, which is why most of the time they end up taking the Aegises. But in this case, Leshrac is your source of tower damage, so I would have preferred to see the Aegis on the Lesh. I think another interesting thing in this series was, if you guys load back into the replay, those of you who care, you will notice that at one point, Team Spirit took over the triangle where they found their team fight that got them back into the game. So they probably had vision there that they were smoking towards in the end. So this vision set up by Miposhka at some point in the game really enabled a potential comeback there. And something that a lot of teams do poorly is they will sit in their base when they fall behind. But Team Spirit, they decided to move over to the enemy triangle and set up the fort that gave them the huge rampage comeback.
Is there a power to the fact that Team Spirit picks these comfort heroes? They always try similar strategies, things that are tried and true. Do you think this gives them the ability to have this confidence?
I think when Lacoste said right, the draft I don't think was very good.
Okay.
But it was comfort heroes, like you're saying. I think after a game like this, you feel relieved that you got the win, but you know in the back of your mind that we might need to still switch up the draft a bit to be in a better position in the next game.
Okay. Do you find that comfort is a good idea to go for the first game of the series to get that potential win and get it out of the way?
I understand that you would start there, but I think you're going to have to develop and adapt. And I don't expect them to give IG all the pacing again like they did in game 1.
All right, we're starting with the draft now again. We see Doom and Lion on the IG side, and Team Spirit picking a favorite here. It's going to be a really big change of pace. Weaver and Legion. We were actually talking about this, Lacoste, that we think of Collapse as this big team fight hero, tanky team fight, not so much the single target initiation. What can you tell me about this start for them?
This is something that's going to provide them, again, Legion Commander got banned out in the second phase after IG picked Lion in the first game, so it's a dispel mechanic, it's a free BKB once you get a shard, 1.75 seconds, and it's also a decent amount of heal against the Doom that could, make the difference, whether you die or not. Also, Weaver, we still don't know where it's going to go, judging by the Team Spirit, the way they played it. It's probably going to be that position 4, the classic standard build, Spirit Vessel into Aghanim Scepter, and then Aghanim Scepter, you just get huge value. I already said at the start of the previous game that I really liked Mira on that Weaver, where he makes so much space, he gets tons of levels. Like, one of the good things about position 4 Weaver is that you're really survivable, and sometimes when you do a trade, let's say your off laner dies, enemy safe laner dies, you get the free levels, you get the gold, and one of the reasons why the hero is so popular.
If you have a Legion Weaver lane, let's say put them forward and saying, what do you think of that lane? Is it a strong lane?
I think it's a good enough lane in most cases.
Okay.
You're going to get farm out of the lane. What I think is important to note here is if you think about how Doom functions, he will put Doom on someone, and then it will slowly take the hero to death, right?
Right.
And when we talked about earlier, we talked a lot about timings because timings are very integral in the way you draft. So when you have when Weaver reaches the Aghanim's Scepter timing in the game, you'll be able to reset heroes back from getting doomed. So most likely the heroes that get doomed won't tick out over time. And I think this puts Team Spirit in a position now that they have very good scaling as the game goes on. Their timings are very strong against IGs. The instant initiation from Lion can get dispelled by the Legion Commander, followed up with if he buys the shard, then there's no stun coming out, there's no follow-up on that, which will get a hero out of trouble very easily.
To go back to the Aghanim Scepter, I like that IG responded with Doom plus a Lion, so that's there's burst damage that they need, so maybe Weaver will not be able to get the Aghanim Scepter off. We've seen, a Lion, you're charging that Finger of Death, and sometimes it's all it takes, that a bit of an extra burst damage. This time around, Tiny will get banned in the second phase by IG. Same goes for Wraith King. Of course, Wraith King is one of the better counters to Doom. You are not going to get doomed in the team fights most of the time. Tiny, it's a flex pick for Team Spirit. They played it quite a lot on the mid lane, and they also ran it on the safe lane when it's needed.
This time, Team Spirit also got rid of the Monkey King, which they saw as a threat last game, and also, once again, melee offlaner, making sure that you want to have an easier lane here. Insania, could you tell me the strengths a bit of this Doom Lion as a starting combo?
I think the nice thing about it is that it's fairly flexible. You can still run the Doom pretty much in any position. He's going to accomplish what he wants to accomplish. The Lion they ran in the safe lane the last game. It's played by Kaka, I think, pretty much exclusively on their team. But they have the ability to flex it between the safe lane and the off lane. So IG's sticking a little bit more to this idea of we want to have a more flexible draft. We want to be able to do what we want with our heroes here. I think the Lina ban from Team Spirit is something they should look out for. Chinese teams consider this hero to be very, very strong against Leshrac. And we noticed in the last game, the Lina got banned. IG instantly went for the Leshrac. So I think that might be something that's on their mind to potentially ban out here.
Lina in general just feels super strong. We're staying away from this Yule Scepter, Lina Spellcaster type of a build. It's just most of the time boots of travel into BKB, into Crystallis, which can be transitioned into either Daedalus, or we can see the Silver Edge when it's needed. A lot of the heroes that have break, that don't like to be broken in the game, are not as popular because the Silver Edge just feels like one of the best items right now.
Is there any hero that you think it should be being played that because he's broken, you wouldn't play him right now? Is there any hero that comes to mind that you think?
Yeah, Spectre. I definitely did expect much more Spectre to be picked, but Silver Edge, like you see Silver Edge being picked from the off lane, from the mid lane, even the safe laners get it.
Yeah, that's fair. What do you think the next pick should be here for IG? Or what are they trying to set up here? Or the third and fourth?
So right now, what IG has going for them, I think, is that they have slightly faster heroes, and they have a clear-cut initiation. And now they have the control for the Legion, right? So if the Legion purges the Lion's initiation, then that means free grips for Bane. So you have a way to effectively force out the Legion purge, so that you have the ability to get the Fiend's grip off. Plus, it's a strong laner against Legion. You have the Nightmare mechanic to sleep against a duel, so it's hard to rack up duel damage as a Legion commander. For Team Spirit, this means that the Bane is now a hero that they need to figure out a way to solve.
Yeah, because they definitely need something that can, any long disruptive stun or a silence, something that can cut into backline. Spirits come to mind. You still are playing into Lions, so playing any of the Spirits is going to be a bit tricky. Storm Spirit was banned out by Team Spirit, but Void Spirit definitely comes to my mind, especially for once you get that Aghanim Scepter timing, jumping the backlines with into Lion and Bane could be a bit tricky for them.
That's a potential save to a degree, depending on what you're facing. If Bane is too close to the Fiend's grip, you also have the way to threaten the Bane to move by just throwing kisses at him. But the Snapfire also combines here nicely with the Legion Commander. Duel, very similar to the Skywrath Mage combo. Probably going to be able to kill most heroes.
Yeah.
Where else is the strength of the Snapfire? Why do they go for this 5 particularly?
So I think generally speaking, when you pick a 3-position hero that doesn't really provide teamfight for your draft, you're going to have to compensate for it with some other role.
Right.
So Snapfire brings this teamfight that they are lacking in their draft right now. It's a lot of very single target damage, and when you don't have any teamfight, it feels difficult to take these slightly harder fights when you've got to go up a high ground or something like that. So Snapfire not only is a very powerful laner with a minus armor that has really nice synergy with the Chaos Knight, and especially going up against a hero like Doom, it's very effective because he doesn't have any armor at all, or very low armor rather.
And now we see a hero that's been picked in both carry and the offense position, the CK. I think it was Beast Coast that was mainly providing the carry CK, but I don't recall Team Spirit using it. What is it about this game? Because it's not a very popular hero right now.
It's not, but this hero comes online so quickly. He's a super strong laner, especially when paired up with the strong position 5, which Snapfire is. And also, you don't care too much about getting doomed in the fights, I would say. You can still be able to reset. I like the Snapfire in general. With the repositioning tool, once Lion jumps on you with just Cookie, could make the difference, especially since the cast range was nerfed on Lion's stun.
You have a good minus armor strat as well going on with the CK Weaver plus the Snapfire, as you mentioned. Is the Morphling an idea to that? Someone that can get really hard armor and is more scared of the magical burst?
I absolutely think it's good. I think it can go both ways though. When you have a lot of minus armor, it racks up pretty fast. And for the early portions of the game before Morphling has like that ridiculous 50 armor point, it is you have the ability to burst them down. And they have a lot of block and stuns. So the Morphling does it at later timing against these heroes, but I do think one of the issues that Spirit ran into in the last game was they really lacked pace. They were at the mercy of IG running at them almost constantly. But now they've flipped it around. If you look at their heroes now, you can tell that they understood from the last game that, hey, we can't play this low of a game. We can't let them make all the moves. And now I think they've fixed that problem for their draft. They have pretty active heroes that can make things happen.
Would you say on the flip side that IG now might be more on the defensive?
Yeah, I think so. I think it looks like IG... Personally, I really liked IG's draft in the last game, and I think they had the right idea in mind. I think this time around, their draft is a bit slower. It might be like, we lost the first game, so we want to make sure we have some sort of more late game, or we want to make sure that we can go late, but...
I want to see some kind of AoE against CK Illusions, because if CK does not get jumped first with the Lion Doom, they're going to have a huge problem to deal with.
Because, in case you're a viewer that hasn't watched in a while, you think, oh, Lion, you can just monitor them, hex them. No, not CK. They're considered strong illusions, and they can't just simply be dispelled just like that. Last game, Lacoste, you told us about how Team Spirit had good counter initiation, so even if they were defensive, they had good ways to respond. Do you feel similarly about IG's draft right now?
I don't think they have the best counter initiation. I think this game is pretty heavily like, if you can get the Doom off on Chaos Knight before he Phantasms, you're going to be very happy about that. Because IG don't really have that much, Team Spirit doesn't really have that much damage between the Weaver and the Legion and the Snapfire in the early game.
They also have no reliable stuns. Duel is going to be good, but there are no silences whatsoever, and there's always going to be this Nightmare save that could potentially make the difference. So Morphling should have a good time.
Okay. Do we have any? Is it the Weaver Vessel carrier this game?
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It just feels like the standard build.
Yeah, I know that people really harp on the Axe because it looks so good, but ever since the range nerfs, we have seen much more play with the traditional Weaver Spirit Vessel, even Gleipnir builds we've seen on Weaver.
Right. I think if you go for the Aghanims immediately, it takes you 4,000 gold before you really get any impact. But the Spirit Vessel, like the 800 gold that you spend on the urn, directly translates into impact. And even the Vitality Booster is not a bad item for Weaver, because if you survive the burst, you're able to get your ultimate off.
Yep.
So it's pretty high value to get that bonus HP.
Here we get the most Toronto Tokyo hero, which is the Shadow Fiend, I'd say. Literally, his playstyle would be very much like this man. Just go in, be able to draw some attention, initiate as well as a mid laner, deal high damage. Where does it fit into this draft?
More minus armor. You were talking about the minus armor strat. The supports, the Doom, they don't have that much minus armor. I did not see any of the Magic Shadow Fiend built lately, to be honest. All the high-level pubs were at a Dragonlance or just a Silver Edge Shadow Blade into a BKB. Maybe this time around it doesn't sound too bad, but with all the minus armor you still want to use your damage. I'm thinking about some AoE Lash comes to my mind once again. Okay, this is one of the heroes that can also deal with the illusions, has a bit of built-in magic absorb, which is going to be nice because the damage output is a bit limited on Team Spirit other than 2-3 raises from Shadowfiend.
It's a tough lane though. I think this is a pretty chatty move from Emo.
This
is like a give me Ember, I'm gonna own this game kind of move, because it looks good once the game kicks off, because the Legion Commander is gonna have to stay back and there's no other instant disable on their draft. So I like the Ember pick if he does well out of the laning phase and he's able to play the game.
Final points, strength of weaknesses here that you see for Team Spirit's draft?
I think Team Spirit, once they have a really strong timing at a certain point in the game, once they finish up the BKB on SF and they're able to fight straight into IG. But I think IG scales up very nicely, and if Emo's able to get the first couple of runes, that should set them up for a good game. So rune battle is going to be important.
I want to see Weaver moving around the map, one of the better heroes you have. You can still be at the lane and go for the runes to secure your Shadowfiend, set him up for a really good game, and then he should have one against Ember.
Okay, well, we don't have much magic damage in one of the drafts, and that means that there's no silencer, but we still do have a last word, particularly with BSJ, who will explain the game to us so we can know what to look out for in this game too.
Thank you, Avo. As I like to look at Team Spirit's draft, and I see feast or famine heroes. They're either going to be incredibly impactful or feel incredibly lackluster. You have the Legion Commander. He's either going to rack up a lot of dual damage, or he's going to be feeding dual damage to the opponent team. You got CK, who's going to be able to cast Phantasm. They have very little illusion clear on the side of IG, and he's going to be able to shred people to pieces. And then you got SF, who's going to have that Requiem combo to get that burst damage that they're a little bit lackluster on in terms of the mid game. But on the IG side, they have saves galore with the Bane, and then they also have the Ember, who can cause a lot of disruption. Now the question is, will the Ember be able to get out of the laning phase? SF, one of the strongest 1v1ers in the entire game. They'll be looking for that Kaka gank from the Lion to open up the space for him to create that momentum, create that chaos against the Chaos Knight, as he is the only hero on IG that addresses those illusions. So only way to find out who's going to get the victory is Suns fan and Cinderin. Take it away.
With one of the worst segues of all time, BS.
With a double damage rune, and the game just ended out of nowhere. You need to be able to cope with games like that. It will happen. And just reset mentally, get into the next game, and keep trusting your teammates, keep playing your best, and identify what the problem was so you don't make the mistake again. Because honestly, for the first 30 minutes of that game, IG were just better. And then they lost in 2. And that's very frustrating, but most teams at TI have been in a situation like that before. And it's a best of 3. Imagine if that was a best of 1 for IG. That would have been absolutely soul-crushing. That could happen later today to any of the teams. You never know in these BO1s later down the line.
Yeah, those are scary. No doubt about it.
I do want to highlight Emo a little bit here, just because, so in that last game, like we talked about, this player is very, very aggressive in nature. He makes some insanely flashy plays, but he also has some maybe a little bit too crazy moves in the game. He is in a really bad lane matchup, and they chose to pick this into Shadow Fiend. Right. Let's see in the rune fight here. Not too much going to go down here. 2 for 2 runes it looks to be. Oh, 3 for 1 actually for Team Spirit, so a little bit of a head start there. This is one of Ember Spirit's worst mid lane matchups. It is really rough. Shadow Fiend will punish you all the time when you go for creeps. Flame Guard isn't strong enough to sustain against multi-race combos, so Emo should be... It's fair to say he's going to lose this lane unless he plays absolutely out of his mind. And again, that mental game, you know, let's say you're playing from behind as Ember in this game, make sure you don't try to overcompensate by trying to get too crazy because you lost your lane. Right. Rather stick to the script here and
having said that, Emo, of course, this was discussed earlier pre-game 1. The fact that at the Singapore Major they were down 0-2 against EG, and Emo came back with a vengeance in Game 3, and well, they did a reverse sweep. So, like you said, the mental fortitude of this IG team is not like if this was maybe a younger team, then I could see that being more of a case. Like if this was split, maybe, or sorry, if it was reversed for Toronto Tokyo or somebody on Team Spirit, I could see that perhaps having more of an effect. But IG, they have a lot of experience this year, especially
for sure.
On top lane, we have Fly on the Morphling with Ollie's Bane. So Bane is going to be on the opposing team this time around against Mira's Snapfire and Collapse on the Legion Commander. Legion Commander, one of those heroes where doesn't feel like... It feels like a press the attack hero lately. Getting more so by the year, Cinderin.
Yeah.
Are we expecting the duel to be the actual initiator, or are they looking for something else?
You were going to say, are you expecting press the attack to become the ult and duel to become a regular spell?
I mean, as much as I love the theory craft, that is, I mean, it is his ult, or is her ult for the most part, let's be real. But yeah, initiation-wise, what is Team Spirit looking for, like when you get to the mid to late game?
First of all, this lane in itself, the Legion Snapfire lane, I think is very strong. And again, by laning against Morphling, should be having a good time to begin. So Collapse will probably be able to find a decent timing on Blink Dagger. I do think... Oh, good cookie up top. Fly actually dies!
Overwhelming odds. And Scatterblood, are you kidding me?
They were not ready for that. Ollie with the Nightmare was not enough, just too late.
Absolutely. So First Blood, the way of Team Spirit. They obviously have the momentum after that last game. I mean, that's an understatement, no doubt about it. And we'll see if Toronto Tokyo can get that good start that you were discussing. He should be. Right now, 13-4 to the Emo's 10-0, so not too far behind. Skaka looks like he's going to get taken out by Yataro as JT looks like he'll limp away. Has that swarm applied right now, so lots of minus armor.
Yeah. Team Spirit's lanes are really good this game. Shadow Fiend against Ember, I would say they're favored. Chaos Knight does very well against Doom in lane. It's maybe less so than it used to be because Doom got some armor. He used to be a 0 armor hero, but then he got some base armor and Devour stopped healing you. But still, this heavy physical damage lane can be very good against Doom. And like we already covered the top lane. So honestly, I could foresee a situation here where Team Spirit just end up winning all 3 lanes hands down. And then it's about whether IG, similar to last game, just make the better moves in that mid game. But it's a very good look currently for Team Spirit.
Yeah, and we talk about Roche a lot, probably because I have some obsession with him that we won't speak of at TI-10 main stage, of course, but Team Spirit have a lot of minus armor to be able to take out Roche.
Yeah.
I would say they definitely have the advantage, and they don't really have, like for IG, as we're going to see, the Cookie Connect, and Ollie is in quite a bit of hurt. Scatter Blast into the right click, not even needing the overwhelming odds, so a little bit of waste of mana there, but Spirit, again, 3rd kill on the board.
And Emo struggling, right? You're seeing it here. At the very least nowadays, he's going to get a water run here. Oh, Miposhka really wanted to steal it. That might actually cost him his life.
Miposhka, of course, the support Weaver, so that Shikuchi will not come back online in time.
Crucial for IG that Kaka is there. If that rune gets stolen by Weaver, Emo's actually just flat out of the lane. He's still going to struggle here. He took some damage, but at least the kill on Weaver is a little bit of a comeback. He is a full level behind, though, minute 4, and that is without a kill. Shadow Fiend 23-11 to the 10-0 of the Ember. Now you knew what you were getting yourself into with this pick. You can't be surprised.
Yeah. So what's the plan for Emo after, or I guess the extended laning stage into the mid game? How do you get back into the game? Is it just kills? You go try to get some stacks with Flame Guard?
I think there's some key items. I think Doom's BKB is really important in this game. Probably the Lion Dagger. Until you have these key items, it feels a little bit tricky for your lineup to find openings, especially if Ember isn't having a particularly good game.
Oh, Fly so close. Has to waveform away, but living on the edge again. I mean, that is kind of the Morphling's job, right? To min-max. That's position 1's favorite thing to do in general. And
yeah, I guess he's keeping Ollie's pulse at a constant 120 here at least. Yeah. So that's great.
And bot lane, we're going to see the Earth Spike connect. But there's a swarm on top of JT, so he has to be careful. Actually, he already killed it, looks like. And, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of Weaver support. We've seen a couple... I want to say we cast one game where it's position 1. But for the most part, it's...
Kaka bottom.
Oh,
he's just...
All right.
Oh, great
stop from JT. Beautifully done. That'll save his teammate. Never mind. Reality Rift back in. Kaka dies. So, maybe... miscalculating the amount of damage that it actually does, but...
I think he might not have thought Reality Rift was ready. But... yeah, looking great again here for Team Spirit. And I say again, the last game did not look great for them, but they won. So they are looking good off the back of a win. Miposhka going to steal that bounty rune away as well. Now, will be spotted out by Kaka.
Yeah, better be careful. Earth Spike's there. JT in the vicinity as well. That's going to be an easy cleanup.
But if this is a trade, that's great.
JT, that's a Phantasm. JT has to pop the wand. Has the swarm still applied, so ticking down very slowly. Yataro, not much mana to speak of. One more right click does it, though. Killing spree for Yataro at the 6.5-minute mark.
I actually think that attack needed to be a critical strike, so only 1 in 3 times will Yataro get that kill.
That's good math, Cinder.
Thank you. I did Sesame Street counting class. The upgrade was statistics, actually.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What was
we started out early in Denmark.
What was the character that did statistics?
Don't show the crowd that I don't know anything about Sesame Street.
Okay, so you lied to the crowd. I see. Fly. You can take some harassment here in the top lane. It's a 1v2 right now. There's no teammates nearby, but he seems to think he's going to be just fine. Collapse is continuing. Actually gets a couple procs of his passive as well. Overwhelming odds with the Cookie as well. And Scatter Blast just finishes off Fly. And now we see a Chaos Bolt into the Reality Rift. JT taking heavy damage will be fine. But Cinder, if I didn't know any better, I would say IG is somewhat tilted from game 1. They're playing very un-IG-like right now.
I don't know if tilted is the right way of looking at it. They're just playing against a team that's on fire that have better lanes. And Team Spirit are just not making mistakes in these lanes. They're finding aggressive moves. They're playing... What I really like about this top lane from them is how constantly they are putting that pressure on Fly. The reason they find the kills to begin with is that he's half health, right? Or third health from just Mira laying into him over and over and over in the laning stage. And it's just been paying big dividends here. Top 3 net worth is theirs. Keep in mind, one of the heroes in the game is an offlane Doom, who is in 4th right now with that Devour level 3. So that is a very, very good sign here for Team Spirit in this early game.
Right.
I'm always a little bit concerned about Shadow Fiend strategies because I feel like this hero is one of the ones that suffers the absolute most from dying and is the most snowball reliant as a mid hero. But it also is incredible when you are ahead like this.
Trying to turn this Nightmare into an aggressive play instead. Collapse gets off the duel. It's not going to result in the kills. It looks like we'll be close. The winner is Ollie, the Bane Elemental, with massive damage now. 2 dead. IG get the amazing trade there.
I think with this plus 10 damage on Bane, now Ollie can start. Now he has wave clear.
Position 1 Bane. Let's go.
That was what he was missing. Now with... Okay, let me give you a question here. Can you think of a worse hero to win a duel on?
Ooh. Lion?
Definitely better. He will attack in between his stuns,
Bane
right?
attacks during Nightmare, Cinderin.
Does he? In mid-game?
I mean, Bane almost doesn't exist at that time in the game. In a lot of games that we've cast, at least, as we see. Actually, a Midas picked up here by Yatoro. So, going for the, I guess you can call it a bit greedy, but they are off to an amazing start. So this is just going to amplify their farm. What are your thoughts on that item pickup?
I think CK really wants it in general. It's just one of CK's downfalls is that he doesn't have very good farming potential compared to a lot of other carries, right? Like the meta carries now have some sort of wave clear or illusions, whatever it is. Chaos Knight, sure, you can use Phantasm to farm as well. It's not terrible, but it's not constant. So the way this hero works, having a Midas really helps.
That's true. There was a short period of time where Battle Fury was a thing, but Battle Fury doesn't seem to be picked up by anybody unless it's Anti-Mage, the one game that we actually cast.
Now check out this Chaos Knight set. His face looks like Axe.
Okay.
It's Axe's cousin. Do we have lore on this?
Wow, you're right. It actually does. I thought you were kidding.
It's Jeremy Kahn.
Jeremy Kahn.
There it is.
At it again. What a god. Fly is going to TP out, so this looks to be a free tower for Team Spirit, and we'll see if it ends up being a trade of tier 1s overall. I wonder if there's some lore combining Doom and Axe in some regard. I guess we can ask Slacks on our time off here. That's going to be the tower for Spirit. Maposhka is in the vicinity, gets off the swarm. See if they want to TP to actually try to defend, but it looks like Collapse is TP'd mid instead. Kaka's going to get off the Hex. Amir's in the area as well. Cookie not going to be able to land.
Yeah, nice
but it will be
there
enough to defend the tower.
But yeah, the defense here from Collapse, very important. You don't want to give this up at all. And your trade-off, you're going to lose the bot tier 1. Actually, JT mistiming the last hit there. It goes to the siege creep, but most importantly for IG, a little bit of breathing room, right? Like those 2 kills they just found make a very big difference. And you're getting Emo a little bit into the game as well, closing in on Maelstrom. I imagine he's going to go for a 1-4-4 build here. Felt forced to max Flame Guard, which I think Ember players actually don't like to do unless they have to. Yeah. A lot of the times nowadays, Embers want to max out Sleight of Fist. It's just way more teamfight damage to have that low cooldown, especially when you get that Maelstrom. But the lineup, it's going to time pretty well with the Maelstrom when he gets level 4 Sleight, so it's probably going to be fine.
It's
gonna smoke. This is a very unpredictable smoke, might I add. He was literally just pushing out the top wave, TP'd mid, and instantly smoked with Kaka into the triangle.
Oh, double courier kill? Oh, Maposhka. Geminate attack for the win.
There's one more.
Mid lane.
It's pretty far away, but he's waiting.
We'll find out very shortly. Fiend's Grip in the mid lane, and that is going to be a freebie for IG, it looks like.
Goes to Fly. He needs it so badly, too.
Everybody needs it so badly.
Miposhka, 3 couriers.
Mortimer's kisses. Kaka is going to take a tumble. So it's a 1-for-1, but obviously position 1 for support. IG will take that trade. As I hear a pig pull.
Yeah, who has the pig pull?
I hear it's a global sound, as we've discussed many a time. Very important to know that it's being cast.
It's
JT into
Doom.
the jungle. I mean, we talked about this in our group stage matches, but Doom kind of like a mini alchemist where you're devouring creeps, your goal is a little bit inflated versus what the actual reality is a lot of the time. So this 2K Network League for Spirit is probably like 3, I want to say.
Yeah, something like that.
Something around there, but he is starting to ramp it up. 2nd in net worth on that Doombringer, so we'll see what kind of itemization he chooses to go this time around.
It is a really good Shiva's game, isn't it? Like you really want that against the Chaos Knight, and you want it against just the overall minus armor that the Radiant has, like the panel talked about. So I feel like Dagger BKB Shiva it's a go-to anyway for Doom, but it feels extra good this game to have a Shiva's Guard. I'm definitely going to be seeing that coming out later. Emo currently rocking a DD rune in the bottle and has those 4 points in slides. So this is actually a very strong time for IG to look for a potential fight, and they will smoke now. They have Doom. No Fiend Script for this play. But Doom and Finger are online. If they find anyone,
the jump in with the duel. This would be a huge kill for Team Spirit. They're going to find Emo. That is damage going the way of Collapse.
These are the best moves. Not only do they get the kill, but it actually negates all of IG's plans there.
Yeah.
If that happens 5 seconds later, IG are in position and they get the save, but instead, Emo dies, Spirit get the mid tower, and IG waste a smoke. So absolutely huge timing there from Team Spirit to make that move at the exact same time IG were doing it. Just really good stuff.
Taro right now has the casual Sage. We'll be finishing the SNY, it looks like, into 8th lane. So is this going to be one of those Octarine games, potentially? Cinderin?
Wait, which hero?
Chaos Knight. He's going for the crazy magic. Well, not all of its magic, but... Aether Lens with Shard into Octarine.
Do you go Octarine after Sanjin Yasha only? I'm not sure about that.
The Sanjin Yasha in combination is a little odd, and the fact that he's position 1 makes it a little bit odd as well, in my opinion, but we'll see.
It's not... I'd say the CK isn't the most played hero at this tournament, so it's kind of hard to decide what is meta, right? When there's so few games. It is a feel-good item to at least get the lens, just because it helps you so much with connecting.
Yep. Oh, the pink pull saved him! Did you see that? Cinderin. Admit it. Admit to me right now on stream. Keep in mind, Legion has the talent for the extended range. He would have gotten the duel off.
Did it actually save him?
Yes. It's as we see a Requiem of Souls from Toronto, Tokyo, but Flyfly is perfectly fine. TP's coming in mass, and TP's canceled in mass.
How did that go so wrong?
I don't know.
He was not really very close to killing Flyfly.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
JT, oh, there's the duel that they've been looking for. Mortimer's Kisses as well. The Nightmare trying to save Emo. It's going to be close. Gets off the slide, and away he goes. That'll save him, and Collapse ends up being the casualty for Team Spirit. Very nice save.
Yeah, that's big for Kaka to get that finger kill. He's close to Dagger now.
Yeah, and that's when he starts to really show his impact on the game. Some more item updates. Obviously, Yataro's still sitting on the same items that we discussed because we talked about it literally 30 seconds ago. Toronto Tokyo has the Dragon Lance and about 1,000 away from finishing the BKB, as it looks like. And as with many games, it feels like the BKBs are kind of the go time for Team Spirit.
Ollie.
He's going to be spotted. There's the cookie initiation into the duel. Easy victory for Collapse.
Silver lining there is, if Ollie isn't there, that death is probably JT. So, but Team Spirit are going to immediately look to Roche. They only have level 1 little shredder.
Little shredder.
But they have a lot of other minus armor. Presence of the Dark Lord, the Swarm, and a Blightstone, I think. Yeah. So this goes pretty quick. And they will not forget the Aegis.
That's good.
Very good.
That happens occasionally if you're just joining us. May seem impossible.
That is a play that is reserved for TI winners.
That's true.
Team Spirit do need the Aegis.
Right. So Aegis on Toronto Tokyo, as kind of the panel talked about his build. It's going to be more right-clicky. We're not really seeing the magic damage as much anymore with the old Arcane Blink and Yules and all that good stuff, which means he's the one that has to be set up, which obviously Duel is kind of a nice one for him to Requiem on top of.
It's going to get slept here.
Yeah, left to start things out, but there's the Duel, and it's going to be another victory for Collapse. JT gets his Doom off this time, pops the BKB. It'll be a trade of sorts.
He might get denied.
Well, we'll see. He's going to the creep area. Flyfly. Looks like he'll finish him off with the Shikuchi. JT in the meantime, look at this damage coming out the Mortimer's Kisses. JT better be careful. He pink pulls himself. Potential safety Cinder. It's going to be close.
Oh, the
He's actually going to live. Big pull and MVP again.
He's still dead.
Never mind. Pink-Pull made no. Wait for it. They baited him with Pink-Pull. Cinderin, admit it. That's 2 times in 1 game. I've never seen it before.
This is actually the best game for Pink-Pull we have ever seen. We've not even seen 1 time that it mattered. Now it's been twice in a row.
Holy jeez. And that extra armor that was given to him not too long ago, really showing its worth there, I have to say. Just living on the edge yet again. All right, so IG have kind of come back with a bit of a vengeance here. Still 3.5 minutes on the Aegis, though. And
the big thing in that fight, though, Yatoro died on Chaos Knight. He's dying with Midas ready, so there's like a bit of extra value lost. And just because he's such a high-level hero, when you go for this build, it does give IG a lot their way. So you're going to see the start here. They will commit everything, and they do kill the Bane, but at what cost?
At what cost? That is true. This was a close deny onto the neutrals here, but Fly able to turn into Weaver temporarily. And you can see the instant rape, but this is the important part. The pick pull right there. Look at that. Just beautifully done. Very nice.
It's about as close as it gets.
Indeed. I actually can't believe he didn't die to the wreck. I mean, this is a support Weaver, so no real damage to come. So it makes sense. All right, so this is pretty even game. Obviously with the Doom, it makes it a little bit harder to distinguish the net worth discrepancies, but again, Aegis still there. So look for Team Spirit to try to put something together.
And the thing that's worth keeping in mind here is remember that Team Spirit were 3 or 4k gold ahead, right? So you've clawed yourself back into a position where, Miposhka, no sentry down. It's going to be fine. Just looking at the overall strengths of the lineups right now, Chaos Knight does not have that much going his way with like the overall value. Let's look at, if you look at his net worth, right? He has 10k net worth. What's the effective net worth of his items in the inventory? Midas, very bad item for what it costs. Energy Booster does nothing for what it costs except give you a bit of mana pool. So say, yeah, he has 10k net worth, but compared to the Morph and the Doom, their items just do more for now. This Energy Booster needs to be turned into something. The Midas needs more time to really pay off. So I think it's fair to say that IG are actually kind of far ahead right now in the game, in this current point in time. And the only advantage Team Spirit really have is the Aegis of the Immortal that it looks like they won't find a use for unless they find a fight in the next minute.
Yeah, it's looking less likely now as they're just content to farming away here. Looks like Shadowblade is on the menu for Toronto, Tokyo. And Collapse has his Armlet Blade Mail.
Will he buy the Shard on right-click Shadowblade?
Oh boy, we'll have to discuss that in just a moment. The potential save, but Collapse going to get bursted. Takes the Fiend's Grip and the Finger.
Oh, that'll kill you.
And that means Aegis will not be used in any effective manner.
Yeah, and the tower mid's going to fall. It's all IG. This looks like last game, except the laning stage was way better this time for Spirit, but after this 10 to 15 minute mark, it's just IG finding the correct moves. Emo now completing that Lincoln Sphere, going to make it way easier for him to navigate the map as well. What do they have that removes the Lincoln so that they can duel? They have Reality Rift. That's it. Like, there's actually nothing else that they could do it with. So this item is insane this game.
Needs to itemize a halberd or something like that for sure, but even then, makes it a little bit more awkward. All right. Poshka.
Kaka opting not to dust there. Interesting. I think I don't know if he thought Miposhka had time-lapse to somewhere else, but he was right on top of him. Could have dusted and probably Earth Spike there.
Well, Spirit Vessel is officially completed now in Miposhka, so against a hero like Morphling, pretty high value overall. But we've talked about it before. The reason you pick Weaver, other than the laning stage with the Swarm and whatnot, is really the Aghanim Scepter, which is obviously very far away at this stage.
Yep.
But
did complete the Vessel against Morph, which makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. I literally just said that. Thanks for joining us on this cast at the TI main stage. My co-caster literally doesn't listen to me at any point.
It's kind of crazy that we've cast together for so long and it still surprises you that I don't care.
No, I just wanted the public to know. Okay. I already know you're not a good friend.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Really appreciate you, though.
If you're tuning in for the first time, then welcome.
Yes. Well said, Cinderin. Thanks. Very eloquent, as always. I'm very interested to see, though. Okay, he did get Aetherlands, but is now going for Silver Edge and has the Shard right now in the CK. So Chaos Bolt will create the illusion. So he gets the extended range for, obviously, Chaos Bolt and Reality Rift. So we'll see how that works out in their fights. But you're right, it feels like kind of not super effective yet.
Yeah. So looking over items, what has just happened? So Morphus got an Eagle Song. Oh, interesting. Shard on the Chaos Knight. That will make his Chaos... I'm kidding.
No,
of course
that was a little obvious.
Of course.
Good effort overall.
Of course I listen to what you say.
Oh,
don't you worry.
We have a smoke from Team Spirit. See what they're able to do with this. Looks like IG, based on the way they're farming, might be aware. Oh, Flash jumps in with that BKB. The Nightmare safe for now, but Bane takes the brunt of the damage. The Requiem of Souls doing massive damage as well to J2, who gets off his BKB and dies immediately after. So 2 good kills for Team Spirit.
Very nice for Team Spirit there. Might get a tier 2 tower off this move mid, potentially. 40 seconds on Doom is pretty important here, but of course Phantasm being expended there as well might stop them from pushing. It's running out in 3 seconds, and Chaos Knight without Phantasm, fair to say, not really a very good hero. Like, it's been important for Chaos Knight over the years that the cooldown on this ultimate has dropped so much. What do you think the cooldown is off the top of your head of Phantasm right now?
Oh boy.
What would you guess?
90.
It's 75. I think it used to be 2 minutes. Okay. So it's a lot shorter than it used to be. Kaka?
We have a Hex, Miposhka. Oh, actually time lapse is in place, but it worked out.
Very nice sidestep there by Miposhka in the trees to avoid the Earth Spike from Kaka. And therefore gets the lapse off.
By the way,
and gets
Flyfly
out.
is also working on a Lincoln Sphere, so they're going to have 2 Lincolns against this duel.
Yeah, it is really good in this game.
You have to see a Halberder. Like, what else would you want to buy? You have to itemize for it, like a Force Staff, just something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And I also don't know who would be buying it, right? The problem is who can expend the gold for it that will also be in a position to use it. Because Legion Commander needs a BKB. Shadow Fiend needs more damage. And Chaos Knight already bought the lens, so I don't think he wants to go the route of another utility item. So it's kind of... Yeah, I honestly don't know who I would put the item on against those Lincolns, and that just makes it feel so powerful. If we can look from an observing standpoint and feel like all of the choices are weak, then it just makes the purchase incredible.
Very true. Lincoln's applied to JT, who's frontlining in this 5-man smoke for IG. And they're not going to find anybody initially, but will likely get some, I would assume, some wards placed. Good position. And what I assume is incorrect, apparently. Not going to happen, but we have a counter smoke now
pretty
for
common.
Team Spirit. Cinder, I thought you didn't listen to me. You can't correct me if you don't listen to me either.
What?
Doesn't make sense. Exactly. Okay, so 5-man smoke from Team Spirit. See if they're able to find anything. So Roche not going to be up for a bit, but like we said, Team Spirit definitely have the advantage in terms of killing it fast. We have both teams posturing on both sides of this cliff. JT.
Radiant are scanning.
Yep, we have a scan come out, so Spirit are aware of IG's presence close to their triangle.
Yeah. It's a pretty telegraphed move because of the vision that Spirit have themselves, that they're able to make this call. But obviously, you just chill here. Both teams, they know this Roshan is super important. The early spawn has already passed, I believe, right? Yeah, it has by far passed. It could spawn any second now. Both teams will be aware of that. So
Taro continuing to spam one of the best taunts in the game.
I was just going to say.
I made a taunt tier list. This was top 10, I believe. It's quite good. The more it annoys you, the better it is, I think.
Your favorite, your top 5 taunts probably all have sound, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
They have to. It's a requirement.
Oh, they have to now?
Yeah, like Leshrac and Tidehunter and Undying are the top 3. For sure, Syndra. No questioning that.
Okay. That is not a subjective opinion.
It's objective. Gabe told me himself.
Oh.
Talking about lyrical, not Gabe Newell, so maybe that's not the same.
Okay.
Not the same weight to it as this tier 1 tower taking some massive damage here, but another smoke from Team Spirit and another taunt from Yataro. Just pumping himself up.
Yeah, Ollie covering this observer. One of these 2 supports is probably going to die here.
Oh, ward is taken out. There's the Chaos Bolt on top of Kaka. You see the Mortimer's Kisses from afar. Looks like a decimated Kaka, but in the meantime, Toronto, Tokyo destroyed. Not even close. When it comes to the position 1 and 2 for Spirit, we just haven't seen anything really come to fruition. Shadow Fiend hasn't had like a really good ult, and CK I mean, we've talked about the itemization be a little odd, but we really haven't seen him turn it into anything yet.
That was just exceptionally dangerous movement from Toronto Tokyo, right? His Shadow Blade was out. He walked in. You got to assume that there's a ward there when you know the Weaver got stunned. Yeah. You don't have Linkage. You're going to get Blink Doom there 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and knowing that
that's an easy punish for IG.
This is going to be Aegis Shard. They know that obviously Shadow Fiend is dead as well as the Snapfire ult being down is a pretty big deal in the pit.
The Swarm helping them kill Roche faster.
Right, that's the Linken's prop by Emo
the
here. Stop. Kaka gets off the stump. Nice BKB by Yataro. But that means a BKB down for this potential Roche.
And Phantasm is gone now too.
They bought enough time for the SF to be back. But again, he spawns with less souls, so his effectiveness is going to be a little bit lowered as Yataro potentially looking to try to take this Roche. Aegis and Cheese, or Aegis and Shard, I should say, available for the taking. And IG's just playing it safe here. Knowing that they have the advantage. The Impale, Yataro, there's the press the attack. And into the pit they go. This will be a pretty big turnaround if they're able to get it. Sleight of Fist from Emo getting a little bit of vision. And it looks like Team Spirit are just going to get the Aegis and Shard for free. Very surprising.
Thank
IG
you,
just gives it up. Huh?
Thank you, IG.
I guess so.
They did all the hard work.
I'm actually really surprised. I mean, Mortimer's Kisses is like their main defense for the Roche pit, and they still don't have it. It just came up then. Okay, well, who took the Shard?
Oh, here we go again.
It was Shadow Fiend. Are you serious? I've actually never seen this before. All right.
You're audibly triggered.
No, it's not trigger. It's actually excitement.
Oh.
He gains 2 souls per kill with the Shard. And additionally, Shadow Fiend can consume 1 soul per attack to deal 190% crit. This one sounds very bad, but I am willing to be convinced otherwise, Syndran. I love Shards, as you know.
Wonder how it works when you use the Necromastery attack out of Silver Edge.
That's, yeah, I question the same thing.
Got hexed.
Yep, he's very fast, though.
Very dead.
Blown up from afar. Kaka gets another stack of finger.
He had a gem.
That would explain it.
That's a pretty big kill. And when I say pretty big, I mean very big.
As we have an Aghanim Scepter now online for Emo. So he's going to be super speedy with all his remnants. This is when I feel like Ember just gets really, especially with Linken's against his team that we've already discussed, gets really hard to kill.
And he is so good against Chaos Knight right now. Like, all of these remnants, he's probably he's queuing up the Shard, right? If he finds kills in these fights, he can just keep snowballing, has so many remnants, just a passive damage as well on top of CK, all of it. It's just going to add up, compound over the fight. What are we looking at for Doom?
We got the Silver Edge. Let's see if he uses his Shard thingy there.
They found Ollie.
All right, that's a freebie. Down he goes.
See you later.
So that is dual victory. Well, I don't know how many he's had, but he has 50 damage right now. So you do the math. As
probably
top
4.
lane. Whoa! All right. JT taken out by Yataro's Phantasm. Like Emo's a little late to the party, but that is a really big kill for Team Spirit.
I'm actually surprised Yatoro can kill him like that with this itemization, right? He has the Shadow Blade Sanjinyasha, those are his damage items, and the Doom does have a plate mail, but now it's full Shivas. I don't think he had that when he got jumped. But he can still kill him. That's a good sign for Team Spirit, and probably gives Yatoro some confidence that if he finds any target, he can kill them at this point. Obviously has to play around those Linkens. It's a bit tricky. You Reality Rift maybe, and then hopefully you can get a Chaos Bolt in before they react.
I mean, the fact that Team Spirit, in terms of their 1s and 2s, are the top 2 net worths right now is insane. And we've talked about the itemization, and maybe it's starting to pay off now, Cinderman. They take out the tier 1 tower bot, as the game in terms of net worth is relatively even right now, as the Aegis still 2 minutes to go. And this is their go time. So smoke on 4, Yataro. Of course, has the Silver Edge, so it can catch up here pretty shortly. DD spawned bottom.
Oh boy, he's gonna get it.
Yeah, they're gonna see it, though. Yeah.
Right in front of him, and he didn't. Wait, what? Okay, I don't know who to trust right now. The game says he denied it, but he has the double damage in the bottle. So who's lying right now?
That's... Illusions don't take priority over humans, just like you as a robot don't as well, Syndran.
Wait.
Something for you to learn.
Hello?
Yeah, that is odd.
Did they do it the same server tick? Take and deny.
I don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and trust the bottle right now.
Okay, yeah, I would think so. I mean, what? How could that be wrong? He just pops it and it's just like a puff of smoke, nothing happens.
He pops the bottle and it just says denied.
Like that huge denied symbol above his head. I love that. All right, well, the Aegis is going to expire pretty soon. I'm not sure if they're going to try to poke high ground or if it's a little bit too risky for them. They will take the outpost regardless. And, I mean, this is when it gets really scary, when it's about like 30 seconds left and you're starting to poke, because IG obviously know the timing on that as well, and they can truly take advantage, but we'll see. But the
Shadowfeet
DD
hits stupidly hard with a DD, though.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the fort. 30 seconds to go. Still has the bottle instead of the ultimate orb applied. There's the E-Blade. All right, Toronto Tokyo getting pressed the attack. And, oh, fingered as well. They're trying to blow him up. They do. And again, that is just the Aegis.
No Phantasm now,
get him again. Pops the BKB, trying to go through it, but now grip from afar. And there, he is just abandoned by his team as Emo creating all the space in the world on the backside. Yatara forced the BKB TP, so 2 deaths in favor of IG, make it 3, and literally just talked about this. Very risky move, does not pay off for Spirit.
Honestly love that call from IG to kill the Shadowfeet twice. That's not easy to do, right? A lot of teams, they're like, okay, 20 seconds, guys, just wait it out. Yeah. They had to get through him twice there, but they know if they don't do it, they lose the lane of barracks. It's just too scary with the double damage and all the attack speed he has, so they commit to kill him twice. Ollie has great positioning on that Fiend Script. Still didn't have the Aether Lens. He's going to have that next time to make it even easier.
Yeah.
And they knew that Grip was going to go through fully because Weaver doesn't have the Axe yet, and Press the Attack was already used on the first Spell Wave burst here. You're going to see here he uses Press. So now Ollie knows that all he has to do on the second life is to ult, and it will be very safe if he keeps good positioning. See him standing around here in the back.
But you can see on the backside, JT and then Emo eventually. They end up creating a lot of space. That's why nobody was able to help the SF in the end.
Time-lapse, Miposhka.
Oh, Miposhka. Okay. Looks like he is... Oh my god, Searing Chains Global.
Oh.
Global.
Wow, are you sure?
Nice.
Did he get double damage while it got denied, and then he got chained and
We're finding out new mechanics every day. That's the beauty of Dota. Today I learned.
We need 240 tick server. Now.
I think you need to talk to the CSGO team about that one, Synderen. 7K net worth lead for IG. And things are definitely looking in their favor. But again, this feels a little bit like last game where one mistake from Emo literally cost them the game, at least from our perspective.
Yeah. It's looking like another very solid foundation for a victory here for IG. So I think what they might do this time compared to last game is not take massive risk. I don't know what to say about game states like this with Doom, but I think every game we've cast in the tournament with Doom in this spot, he has won. When the team is ahead minute 35 and Doom starts getting these items, the hero is just insane. And Team Spirit have to find a way to either handle getting doomed or jump him. I don't think that's what makes Doom so crazy late game as a position 3, is when he has these items, he just demands so much attention that your other cores will get to thrive, because you can't pretend he's not there. He is just as much of a carry as the Morph is right now.
Yeah.
So, pretty scary stuff for Team Spirit.
JT on the Doom has a shard as well, by the way, so we'll have the extra damage and stun from the Infernal Blade, as well as the ult. If people are joining us that haven't watched in a long time, like a really long time, Level Death, the old ability, now built into the shard, essentially.
Every hero has a new item slot called Neutral Item. These drop from jungle creeps and have different tiers based on what the game time is.
That's right.
Also, every hero has a Town Portal scroll slot and a backpack if you didn't play for 6 years.
And in the next patch, a ward slot.
Yep, probably. Or...
Oh, JT, he's going to pop this small. Nope, not quite in range here. Fly. Gets off his Manta and is going to be pushing here. So Yataro did finish the Octarine core, by the way. So...
Do you like this build this game? I'm not. I have to say, I'm not completely sold that this was what they needed for it. I completely understand the reasoning and the logic behind it, because you get, I think you primarily get it, not necessarily only for the ulti cooldown, but really getting lower cooldown on Chaos Bolt when you have the shard is really nice, right? But
yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure this was what they needed. Maybe they could have had a stronger power spike. Let's say he had an AC, or maybe finished Silver Edge. But this is, of course...
Yeah,
it's not a super unusual build, but that doesn't mean it's good every game, right?
Yeah. But they are 1,000 away from Ags on Weaver, so that could be a turning point.
Yeah, that's big.
Of course, IG is working with a decent amount of burst damage between the E-Blade and Finger of Death, so might not even have time to use it, honestly. That's the scary part. As into Roche Pit they go, so Roche, number 3, has the Refresher Shard this time. And of course, the cheese.
Oh, Refresher Shard. Who would you give it to here?
I wonder. Doom is working on a Refresher Orb himself.
Okay, they do give it to Doom. I don't think that was necessarily a given. It's insane on Ember.
Yeah, Ember's is crazy. That's true.
You get 5 extra charges on Fire Remnant by having the Refresher
Especially
Shard,
when you already have Ags. It's insane.
It would have been crazy on either of these two, but they do value the Doom higher.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense in a way, right? You're probably working under the assumption that this Weaver Axe is coming soon. You've seen his inventory for quite a while with that point booster. And having the second Doom will just give you that much more freedom to isolate and kill targets. Even if they do get saved, you can Doom again.
Now Miposhka running into JT potentially.
JT has the gem.
He sure does.
Oof, that was close.
So he's 800 away from that time lapse being able to be used on teammates.
He might actually run into him in the bottom wave if Miposhka tries to go for farm here. He doesn't know.
Yeah, this is a really scary point for Team Spirit. If they lose the next fight and Aegis is still online for IG, they could potentially go for some sets of racks here.
JT was looking for him there with the Trickster Cloak and Shiva's Guard out on the side, but Miposhka very wisely standing far back to the bottom left.
And JT's almost done with his Refresher as well, his actual Refresher.
Oh, he could be in trouble here, though.
Yeah, they're going to try to jump him. JT blink very quick. The dual dash range, and the right clicks have come and put the save. Nope, not saved enough, sadly, for IG. BKB's popped galore, though. Kaka.
Nice time lapse, too.
Proc is Miposhka trying to get away, but they're going to be able to find one more kill. The buyback onto Doom. And it looks like Yatara will take a tumble, but it did cost Doom his buyback.
Great fight from Spirit. That's basically, if they hadn't lost CK there, that would have been wonderful, but even losing him, they do get the Doom buyback. They found the duel and they found the Lion kill. And the Weaver time-lapse on like 10% health. They got the duel on the absolute edge. I think he actually only reached it because of Psychic Headband. Like, no joke, he needed that too. The cast range there was really, really long.
Psychic Headband plus his talent.
Yeah. He needed it.
That looked really far. I thought he had an Aether Lens when he popped.
Yeah, same. I was like, how did he reach that one? But it was the headband. Now they're going high ground though. Chaos Knight has buyback. And there is an Aegis here on Flyfly. As well as the second Doom.
Flyfly taking some massive damage, but like you said, still has the Aegis to work with. He jumps in, gets cookied, but there's the Doom on top of the SF, but there's the time-lapse to try to save him. Of course, that's not going to take off Doom, but he's quite healthy with press the attack. In addition, Flyfly already expended the Aegis, so showing off that time-lapse. Second Interceptor as Emo jumps in and finds Toronto Toki. They do have buyback onto the two heroes, though. Another Doom was applied to collapse, and he collapses to the ground. 70 seconds on the deck, no buyback to work with. So 5 versus 4 once CK's back online.
And this entire engage, CK not using the buyback, holding on to it. They thought they could defend there with that good time lapse and press the attack, but just got overwhelmed. And remember, no, actually don't remember.
I remember everything. Yataro gonna try to go. They take off the Lincolns. There's the CK Chaos Bolt. You can see the illusion come to fruition as well, but Flyfly just cleans it up easily. More Chaos Bolts to come. I mean, it's pretty annoying to deal with, but it's not really doing that much damage right now. Flyfly, Manta. And this is looking like a set of racks. I don't think Spirit can fight without Legion right now.
No.
They're just trying to delay. And IG will be happy with the melee racks.
Yeah, it is starting to get costly for Spirit. Given the circumstances, though, you were fighting into Aegis and Refresher Shard there, losing half a lane and 1 SF buyback. It could have probably been worse when your CK was dead when the fight even began.
Oh, this is a huge kill for IG. Nobody from Spirit is remotely close, and that's 90 seconds. No buyback. 14K net worth lead for IG.
Do IG know he doesn't have buyback, though, is the question. Because now it's because of gold. He finished the silver edge up there.
I mean, Flyfly has his Scotty if he wants to buy it. I mean, he is virtually unkillable right now when that gets delivered. So I feel like they'll be pretty confident to go forward. Ember did actually go for a Refresher himself, and JT changed it up after the buyback, went for the Eon Disc instead of Refresher himself, so just wants to make sure he lives through the first two.
More safety against Duel.
Fly onto the high ground we go. Collapse actually jumps in. Look at this damage from the Snapfire. The Grip to try to counteract this, but it looks like they're going to be able to find the kill. Fly dies. And in the midst of things, Emo backs away, but there's the buyback now onto the Morphling. They're going to continue on here as Emo able to remnant to safety. Now with Morphling, the cover is there. Buyback onto the Weaver. Now Mira gets blown up, buys back as well. As this is looking like the beginning of the game for one team or the other, Cinder. A lot of buyback. I mean, if you get the kill on Fly, that's a huge deal, but they're playing it safe. So buyback ends up not being great for IG. Very costly. All they get is a range rax out of that. In fact, lose one in turn.
Oh, is this going to be the repeat of the last game now? They have one win condition here, one last move.
Yeah.
It almost feels like you're 17k down, but there's that one opening if you kill the right enemy core. Actually, Emo doesn't have buyback either yet. He's 200 gold short. His inventory is really, really valuable, so his buyback is expensive. And Team Spirit are trying to find, but this time around, IG. The call is, all right, guys.
Playing it safe for sure.
Don't make the mistake you did last game. They're all missing.
Yeah. And
just wait.
Fly obviously doesn't have his buyback, so expends the rest of his money on a BKB. So, did he? Okay, he didn't actually finish the Scotty. Right, okay, so it was never actually delivered. I was surprised that he was able to be bursted down.
Yeah, he turned into Satanic, right?
No, he had the Satanic already.
Wait, so where did it go?
He bought a BKB just now, because you weren't listening.
BKB buyback.
If you'd like to go back in the VOD and re-watch what I just said.
7.5k gold. That's got to be more than BKB buyback. Did he buy anything extra than that?
I'm sure he bought all the wards for his team that are free.
His buyback was not 3,500. Why are you lying to the viewers? You have nothing to gain.
I didn't lie. I said he bought them for free.
Just trust me.
Okay.
Source, trust me.
It's hard to trust somebody like you. I'll just tell you what.
Oh, nice. I used to have credibility.
That's true. And then you started casting with me. Fly. Right. Turns into CK. Would be interesting for him to get shard on Morphling, so he'd get the CK shard.
All right, Shannon.
If he wants.
I have your answer.
Okay.
With the help of 250,000 people watching on Twitch chat, we have isolated it. It was Boots of Travel.
And BKB.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there you go. So I wasn't lying.
Thank you, Cinderin.
Thank you, chat.
Why are you reading? It's TI main stage, and you're reading Twitch chat. What is wrong with you?
What can I say? I'm a DJ. What do you want to know?
How can you even pay attention?
That's why I can't hear you half the time.
Too busy looking at the kappas and whatnot in chat to hear what your co-caster has to say. You actually disgust me on a level I can't even begin to explain.
Okay, think about wisdom of the crowd, right?
Yeah.
250,000 people. I can sound really smart because I can just steal all their ideas. That's it, Weaver.
All right, that's one death, and that's no buyback because he just did so not too long ago from Apushka. And Roche.
What if it was discovered that I don't know anything about Dota, but I just take the smartest idea from chat all the time?
Wow.
What do you think? Well, does that sound believable to you?
If it's a lot of people, then you'll usually get the right answer. But if it's like
I guess you need to have a filter. There's a lot of garbage there, too. Yeah. There's a lot more
Most
garbage.
Most of it is garbage, of course.
Yeah, that's true.
Collapse. Yeah, looking for... I mean, what does he have? Any Lincoln's Breakers for him right now? It's still nothing. Looks like he's going... Oh, really? He's queuing up an Octarine core, so... Going truly ham this time around. I'm actually really surprised they don't want Lincoln's blockers.
20k lead. Roche is now.
It's really about the buybacks. If they can just find the kill on the right hero.
And that's why Aegis is so important, right? When you approach the stage of the game and you know buybacks aren't cooldown.
All right, Cinderin, it's going to be Aegis, Cheese, Refresher Shard, and Achanim Scepter. Who gets it? Let's see. So Ember already had... He actually ate his Ags already. Doom Ags is for break mostly, and duration, I guess. It's kind of met here. Lion, you have 8 charges of Finger of Death.
Wait,
Fiend's Grip.
Am I stupid? What's happening with Roche? Oh, there we are.
Yeah, it's up.
The clock just didn't update. It just kept saying 0 for like 20 seconds until he spawned.
Is there a hero that Morphling wants to turn into on the other team? Or on his team?
He could turn into Ember, I guess. That's kind of decent double slide chains, right?
Yeah.
It's good. It's not Dark Willow, but it's good.
Okay,
this is the moment, though. We can't theorycraft that. It doesn't matter if this fight breaks out and IG win it. But what if Spirit Doom
has to time lapse himself?
Emo?
Remember, he has Aghanim Scepter, so 20-second cooldown on that ult. So we'll be having it for this engagement regardless at some point. And it's all about second Roche.
Yep.
Can Team Spirit hold on? Will IG extend this to game number 3? It's looking likely, but after last game, I'm not ready to call it one way or the other.
And this is essentially non-commitment, right? Fly can hit this without taking damage because he has 50 armor and lifesteal. So the rest of his team can just wait outside the pit, keep scouting the area, keep poking and prodding, see Emo just non-stop sliding.
Now they
to try
see
to
it with
cancel
Swarm. And here comes Mira's ultimate. That means Team Spirit needs to initiate. They're going to go inside the pit. Toronto Tokyo pops the BKB. They're just going for Roshan right now. Who's going to get it? A big impale comes through. Huge Requiem from Toronto Tokyo, but really not that much damage done in the end. Aegis is on for Morphling. He's going to be perfectly fine. There's the Doom. And this looks like the beginning of the end of game number 2 as IG able to hold on as GGs are called. So this time for IG, it goes according to plan, Cinderin.
It does, but they set themselves up for a really hard laning stage. They did, and they recovered from it, and they got into a nice, strong mid-game here, and ultimately just overpowered Team Spirit, outplayed them on some of the moves. I think key in this game, especially I want to say the Empress recovery is really what decided so much here, right? Emo was off to a rough start in that mid lane, but comes back, gets the Maelstrom. It helps them so much to have that extra damage and wave clear in the game, and ultimately they do solve this puzzle that was starting to have a lot of pieces after 5 minutes. But
I looked at that fight top where Team Spirit tried to push with the Aegis, and IG masterfully kind of just split the fight into 2. They ended up taking out Toronto Tokyo in their base essentially, and
that was a key moment for sure.
That was the big turnaround for me, because that felt like Team Spirit's biggest window for opportunity to actually take the victory themselves. But yeah, this was game number 2, Cinderin, and it's obviously going to go to game 3. That's how a best of 3 works. If you're just joining us, if you've never watched a tournament before, that is how it works indeed.
If they've watched the groups, they might think it was over.
That's true. Those were 2 games. All right, back
but
home you go. 1-1. Thanks. Very nicely done. So we'll be back with game 3 shortly, but first let's see what the panel has to say about this last game.
Thank you very much, Sunsfan and Cinderin. All right then, IG leveling things out. So where would you guys like to start? Do you want to start with the draft? Do you want to start with all the Roche fights? I'm giving you an option here. This is the most democratic it's going to get on this desk.
I like what happened in the game itself. I think
in the game itself, brilliant.
Yeah,
so we're going completely wide.
Yeah, do I get to start, or do you want to ask a question about, is this like a multi-choice
Well, I just like the fact that you said we'll start with the game. That...
I mean,
not
like,
very specific. All right.
We can talk about the draft in the context of what happened in the game. How about that?
Okay.
I think Team Spirit obviously had a great laning stage. They had really nice momentum in the mid game, but like as it got later, the duel seemed like that was their way to start fights, and it just became harder and harder for them to do that against IG. They had Lincoln Spheres, they had saves with Bane. Doom started to land some really nice Dooms. He got 2 Dooms. It just like made it a lot harder as the game continued.
I like that IG drafted for the game rather than the lanes. I think often we've seen teams prioritize the lanes too heavily, but they recognize this Ember is going to give them this big playmaker. Yeah, it has a rough lane mid against SF, but it's the right hero for how they win the game. Same with the Bane pick. It is a good laner, but it was the perfect hero against that Legion commander.
Do you agree, Trent?
Yeah.
The draft from Spirit was too focused on laning?
I mean, it was a little bit out there in a couple directions, right? I mean, the Chaos Knight coming out was a little bit of a surprise, but it almost felt like the more kills they got in the lane, the more I just got worried that it wasn't going to come home for them. I felt like, I don't know, it felt like they were getting like too eager, too excited. I kept seeing like this bloodthirsty, like kill, 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 and then like what's the grand picture? And filling out those final little blocks in their plan obviously became a problem.
Can we talk about this Chaos Knight pick? Because it seems like there's a little bit of snobbery out there towards dear old CK. And I really want you guys to talk me through why, because, you know, there are people watching TI who probably haven't played Chaos Knight and definitely haven't seen him being played in a pro match. So Gods, we'll start with you.
To me, the biggest issue with the hero is the fact it's an illusion hero. Your illusions, when they're getting controlled or cleared by AoE damage, you're not doing damage. That's where you're, like as a CK in a team fight, you need to jump that hero with your Aldrich, burst them down. And against a hero like Lion, that can get hard, even though you're not instantly killing the illusions. You've got the AoE control, so it just felt like he couldn't carry the same way or do the same damage like a Sven could, for example.
Yeah, he's hard to initiate with because you have to ulti first, then you have to get in reality rift range. Usually you have to buy a blink for that. So it's like you have to plan ahead for the fight to start for like 2 seconds, and that's a giant window for pro players. Like you do not, like they're going to see you coming doing this. I would criticize his item build personally. I think Midas is a bit of a trap on the hero. It gives you a lot of attack speed, doesn't give you much damage. And yeah, like you might have some net worth farming issues on the hero, but it's like the goal on CK where you're most effective is where you win the lane, which he's good at. He's good at winning the lane. Then you like use that big net worth advantage to like be oppressive on the map. And they didn't really do that too well. He got picked off a couple times. Then he started buying Aether Lens and Octarine. It's like it kind of helps the poke easier, but I almost wonder if he just bought like raw damage items, if he would have been stronger in the mid game, and that might have washed them over into late game better.
How did you feel about the combination with Toronto, Tokyo, Shadow Fiend, Trent?
Sort of similar, I guess, in terms of like maybe not the most popular hero we've seen, but also requires a lot of setup, I would guess, because like you can break up a fight as Shadow Fiend. That's great. You can get this like big fear off. Maybe you can chase down everything, but much like CK, you prefer for things to be a bit set up for you as you're coming into the engagement. And they only really had the duel, and we already know that IG had great ways to sort of like peel off or just like disengage from you. So this problem started occurring where like Team Spirit wanted to fight, and IG were just like, let's pull this back a little bit, and we'll fight on our own terms a little bit better.
Gods, do you like numbers?
Absolutely.
Well, you're in luck, my friend. You're prepared to be satisfied because we're going to take a look at the key stats from that match. And as you can see, with the Toro definitely not having the impact that we would expect from him. How did Morphling's Fly-Fi compare to your Toro's take on Morphling? Gods.
I think overall it was kind of similar. I think he took less risk, but that's also a team thing when it comes to IG. Whereas I think Yotaro was, going for that, playing from behind, felt like he had to go for that big game-winning play. I think IG were letting Emo be the one going first, and I think for Fly, he had a much easier game because he had a lot of heroes to initiate for him. It's very hard to play Morphling when you have to start the fight going first or second, but this game, JT, Emo, both his 2 other core heroes can go, and even Kaka to a certain extent on the line's able to set things up for Fly to have an easy time.
And he got to go E-Blade as well, which made it easier to do these like poke fights where he could just blast somebody for a bunch of damage, and all of a sudden Team Spirit had to react. Like that's how Team Spirit lost their top racks advantage, because it was easy to kill Shadow Fiend the first time. So that item pivot was well identified by Fly.
Yeah, and then you have like JT able to do such a good job this game because he's playing the Doom. So you get tons of gold on this hero as an offlaner. He almost doubled up on Collapse by the end of that game. Just gives you more options, more choices, and also he just played like an absolute beast on those initiations.
Literally every single person in this studio watching that game was so into JT's Doom. What is it about Doom that makes him such a special pick and such a deadly one?
Well, it's very satisfying. You have so much control in the game, really. One of the most controlling heroes is an offlaner in the simple sense that your team can identify, particularly in Pro Dota, right? Pubs are a little more chaotic than everything. But Pro Dota, it's like, okay, we have a condition. We need to kill this guy. All right, how do we kill this guy? Well, he's got a Linken's. All right, well, someone deal with that. I will blink in. I will doom him. Fight's just one. Then, you just charge after them in the chase down.
Yeah. I would also add, I feel like this patch right now, timings are so important, and Doom, you hit this timing really early on with Blink BKB, and nobody has any answer to that. The enemy carry, you beat BKBs with physical damage, and you get it so early that those carries don't normally have the items to actually burst through a BKB. So BKB Blink Doom in the mid game is just like the king of any team fight.
Well, talking of team fights, should we talk about Roshan? And Spirit's approach to Roshan, because the second Roche fight that we saw, it looked like it was IG's to win. And then the disrespect from Spirit, it seems like to be now the signature move of Spirit is exemplified by that second Roche fight. There is absolutely no respect being shown to the opponents of Team Spirit, is there?
Yeah, Team Spirit did a good job in that sense. Like, they were willing to go in Roche, and that's the reason they won the first game as well. They were willing to go do something, force a fight, basically. I think some of that is also partially IG's heroes. If their support duos like Line and Bane, they have to kind of sit back. They didn't have, like, big, overwhelming team fight like you maybe expect a Ravage or, like, a Mars ulti. So it's, like, pretty easy for them to just put all their minus armor heroes in the pit and just, like, hit it really fast. And, like, if they grab the Aegis in that last fight, maybe it's a different outcome, but they didn't get it in that last fight. But it did work earlier, so it's good to see them taking those risks.
I think it was smart of IG to back off there. As much as it looked like they gave them a free Roche, they don't have any vision scouting heroes, and there was this Snapfire just sitting on the other side of the pit getting ready to kind of make that jump in a Roche. And if they get caught in the pit, that's how they lose the game. So while it was bad they gave Spirit for Roche, it was the safe play.
And then in the final Roche fight, it was Spirit getting caught in the pit when they tried to engage. Do you think the reason they engaged was because they didn't have any other choice, Trent?
Yeah, for sure. It's just, again, they're gambling, right? They've been gambling, they've been winning, for sure. Especially game 1, even parts of game 2. Finally, they lost, but it's like they knew they have to do that, right? It's your only chance to win the game.
So now it's level. How are we feeling about this third and final game? Do we think IG are now firmly feeling comfortable? They've put the boys from Eastern Europe in their place, and now they're ready to dominate?
I would say yes, because this is like one of those series where you can look at multiple games and you're like, oh, IG played better in all 3. Like with the exception of the laning stage in the previous match, IG consistently seemed like the better team. So I think they should feel confident going into game 3. Maybe Team Spirit just has to be slightly more careful with how they win their match, but I think they'll have a good shot.
Gods?
I'm in the IG camp, but I think Spirit have definitely impressed me. I came in thinking IG were going to have a 2-0, but even that game, we saw something different from Spirit. I thought they were going to be this team that stuck with, picking the same off lane as the Tide, the Mars, and picking the same mid lane as they've been doing, but they really went a different direction with that draft. So to me, there's at least some potential for an upset in game 3.
We need a strong talking to for Team Spirit, right? We got to get to Maposhka. I think Maposhka played very well both games. Unfortunately, had some issues dying a bit in the late game 2. But again, risk. He's going deep with the gem and stuff. But I feel like he's got to kind of bring them together, discuss like the plan, get everyone on the same page, and they can definitely do this. They've bounced back, right? They have experience doing that in the group stage, which is a huge thing to have at this point. But there's no doubt that IG are just straight up looking better.
The Weaver pick then that we saw in Maposhka. We're seeing Weaver being played everywhere, but currently at TI, at least in the group stage, it seemed like he was mostly being played position 1. So I'm curious, do you think that actually the intent was always playing position 5 in that match?
Definitely not. No, that's, as you said, that's the whole point, right? We want that flexibility to be there. So 5 is probably the least likely one that you're going to get, but when you can get that Aghanim Scepter, you saw the big save plays coming out there.
All right then, here we go. The teams are coming out. This is it. Whoever wins this remains in the upper bracket. The other team will be sent down to the lower bracket and will be fighting for their survival. But what are we going to see from these teams? Are we going to see Spirit being a little bit more careful, bringing back some of that control they have been said to have in the past? And are IG just going to maybe even take a leaf out of Spirit's book and go flashy and firm and say, no, we're still the top seed in this tournament?
I expect IG to do the same thing. I think what I'd like to see Spirit pivot with is put Collapse on like a more traditional teamfight hero. Legion has this like initiator or defensive playstyle. You either save one of your allies that gets gone on, or you have to like blink duel a guy. And that is part of the reason that he got doubled up on net worth by JT, because Doom continues hitting creeps. If you're playing Legion Commander, it's not really the same. If you show anywhere hitting on a creep wave, then they know you're not about to duel you on the map. So I think a more traditional hero would allow him to play to his strengths a bit better.
I think they could also maybe consider some of these hard lockdown heroes. Yeah, they had the Jewel, but neither of their supports had like reliable hard lockdown, which is what Kaka, every single game you're going to see Kaka online. I think they either need to ban the line or take it for themselves, or take something similar with like an instant stun, because when they don't have that instant hard disable, Emo has such an easy game. He's playing an Ember Spirit, he died once the entire game, and it's because of the heroes that Spirit have.
Who are you banning if you're Team Spirit?
I mean, I say Lion. I actually completely agree. I feel like other teams went to that in their first phase, and I think Kaka's just way too comfortable, and it gives him so many options as fights start.
You know what? If you have just tuned in, we do want to remind you of something that happened in the first game of TI-10. And it involved Yatoro, a Morphling, and a Rampage. So to make things official, obviously, we need a little flashy graphic. So switching from Yatoro's pink hair to a reminder of who else has achieved this feat. I imagine you remember every single one of these Rampages, Gods. Not because you're old, just because you've done a lot of TIs, okay?
I want match IDs, Gods. Game time.
Honestly, no, sorry.
Okay, does anyone remember these?
Yes.
Also, just looking, we 3 of these players obviously are here at TI-10, right? We've obviously got Topson, memorably, versus Liquid. Arme is now, well, still playing for PSG.LGD. It's the poster boy for that team. It will be playing tomorrow in the upper bracket. Do you think we're going to see even more rampages, Purge?
I mean, the fact that this is the only 5 at TI is like mind-blowing to me. When somebody said that stat earlier, oh, that was the 5th rampage ever on main stage TI, I could not believe it. But maybe some of it is that like teams are like ready to GG. They don't, I don't know, it's like maybe the games are like cleaner. There's like less messing around or something, but I'm surprised. Will we see another one? Yeah, probably. Maybe one more.
Yeah.
Another one from Topson maybe later on today?
Less likely than Sumail. I think Sumail's a better chance, like 2-to-1 chance that he gets it over Topson.
So he has more Aegises than Rampages at TI. That's
true.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
for Yatori's in good company. 3 of those players are TI winners, so, you know, not saying he's going to win TI, but at least you're in a group of 5 players who are some of the best who's played at TI.
Who would you like to see Yatoro play in this Burden final game?
Terrorblade if it's there, but I don't think it's going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's very draft dependent. I don't think there's like a you want him on this hero because he's played 12 heroes in the group stage, so he is very flexible. And I think the carry pick and carry role, you have to be able to react and wait till you see what comes in the draft to see what fits the game. So I don't think there's like a you want to see him on this hero kind of factor for Spirit.
And what about Collapse? Because it does seem like the synergy between their position 1 and position 3 is crucial. I mean, that's the same for all of Dota. It's a team game, isn't it? But given that we're probably not going to get to see him play Mars, who would you like to see him play, Purge?
Tide is easily his number 2. He played very well in the group stage on it. Teamfight ulti can farm aggressively. Maybe something a little bit out of left field. Your Timbersaw type of heroes, I could see him doing well in that. May not fit the draft or the meta, but something like that. Something that can be high action. He can push his limits. He's a very talented player. I think he can fight against the best, and so give him something like that.
Yeah, I think even though they lost game 2, I don't want them to abandon this idea of just like aggression. And I feel like Tide, obviously Tide is very good, and they had a massive success streak at the end of the group stage using the Tide Hunter. But I kind of want them to like hold on to this idea of just like the confidence they seem to have in this game and try and go for like that Night Stalker. I feel like that could really suit how well they're playing right now, kind of make up for some of the issues they're having in terms of like the vision game, and really give you like full playmaking opportunities throughout the entire match.
Why? Why does it suit the playstyle you want to see them play?
Because, you know, you gotta throw off these better teams a little bit. You gotta be willing to push things when perhaps they're not expecting it. I think that's why they're finding some success, why this isn't just a 2-0 wash right now. And Tidehunter, it's much easier to punish because you have this massive long cooldown to deal with. Night Stalker has its own issues because of like the day and the night cycle, but it is still a little bit easier to work with, I would say.
Do you agree, God?
Yeah, and I would add on to that, like the majority of the time I feel like when underdog teams cause upsets, it's because they play super aggressive. Very rarely do you see an underdog team win a series against, you know, a more experienced or a stronger team on paper by playing passive, by playing safe and trying to play late game Dota.
Yeah.
All right. Purge.
Yeah, that's
totally
exactly
agree.
true. Like, because if you play like passively, they're going to get in their comfort zones, going to do the things they're used to. If you put them on the back foot, you get aggressive. Even if some of your goes are kind of weak, I really agree with what you said about vision. You need vision to make some of those aggressive dives, because some of the times those plays you're doing that are aggressive all the time, you're not going to see the hero sitting behind them. So some of the times they will be sitting with 4-man. They're going to turn on you when you do go on them. So having extra vision from a Night Stalker would be a great way to give them the ability to make better decisions.
And given that Spirit were able to dominate the laning phase in that last game but still lose the game itself, do you think that we're going to see them maybe have a slightly different focus in their draft that's shortly coming up?
Is IG's focus going to be different as a result of the last one?
I think Spirits.
Spirits? I just think the offlane is the thing they might want to swap. I love that they went for the Legion. It sort of almost worked. Maybe do it again if there's not a Bane in the game. But other than that, I like to see them pivot back to more typical initiating teamfight sort of hero on Collapse, so they can be aggressive and scale a little bit better.
Do you want to see Night Stalker?
Night Stalker, I think, has good potential, yeah. Generally, he plays more like stun-type heroes for Lockdown, but because Night Stalker requires a little bit more coordination. Like, he'll jump in and disrupt enemy teamfights, certainly, but he doesn't really, like, set up your team. It's more like lock out the supports from the fight while your team gets the rest of them, and that maybe isn't quite what he typically does in a game. But it could work.
Is it bad for me to say that I want to see Underlord and I know we're not going to? But I'm holding out for some point in the
necessarily
main
true.
stage.
It's
Really?
got some tools.
You're
Yes,
so
every
nice to
hero
me.
in Dota is broken in some way, even the ones that we haven't picked yet. All right.
That I'm always attracted to the broken ones. That's what it is, boys. You know what? We're just about ready to get into the draft. Who is going to take this series? Let's soon find out.
Team Spirit versus Invictus Gaming. Game 3.
And welcome back to the draft panel. As we're getting ready for this third draft, I'm going to ask my wonderful co-panelists what we should be looking out for in Sania.
I think an interesting thing about the last game, and our panel touched on it earlier, is that Tidehunter, right? Yeah. This is a hero I think they want to get their hands on, and they banned it in the first game, and they banned it in the second game, but I think in the third game, you're kind of in a position where you're willing to switch up your initial bans, because now you've read both teams. Game 3 has like its own meta now, and now you know you're no longer playing the meta game of the tournament, you're playing IG versus Team Spirit. They both had a chance to feel each other out, so it might be open here. I think it could be an interesting hero.
Morphling will definitely be contested in this one, and there's a reason why this hero is the 5th most banned hero. We see, Tidehunter, he's just gone. No one wants to play against him, especially if the enemy has the first pick, so no surprise there.
And the IO as well this time.
Yeah, I think IG, what they learned in the games is that the Elder Titan from Team Spirit was not that strong. It wasn't like the best hero of the tournament. You know, it's been really highly contested and first picked a lot, and I think they're willing to give it away in this position. That's why it's not banned in this game, and they think they can beat it. So if, for whatever reason, Team Spirit also feels the same way, they might leave the ET for...
Yeah, I want to see if this is a core Tiny. I think Timbersaw is probably the best counter as the laning stage goes, because you're setting yourself up for a really good game. Tiny does not have enough burst damage, no matter what you pair him up with. He just cannot kill Timbersaw, and then you're forcing Team Spirit to possibly play him as a position 4 role, which they don't, but they play it on the mid.
Yeah, and you were pointing this out, that they actually play much more on the mid than the carry position. Would you still like the Timbersaw as the offlaner?
Now that they have Mars, I don't. Yeah, it's not an option anymore. Even though I believe there was Thunder Predator who ran a position 5 Mars.
They did. This is the Mars Phoenix combo, which is interesting because actually that's one of the favorite combos of the Eastern European region. But it's going to be IG running it. We haven't seen much success with this combo in this tournament yet.
Okay, I would imagine it's a fairly good opener against Tiny, because the reduced attack speed is one of Tiny's biggest issues, right? This hero hits super slowly.
Yes.
Anyone that has played Tiny knows what it feels like. So you're not touching the egg, and you're getting Fire Spirit on top of that. And then as a third added bonus, Tiny's very tanky, and he has a lot of armor. Phoenix is dealing Sunray damage, which is percentage based. So Phoenix is one of the heroes that probably hurts Tiny the most. And Snapfire is a good response from Team Spirit. This basically increases the execution for IG. This Mars is going to have to really be on top of his arenas to protect the egg, or that egg isn't going off. Another thing that's important to note is Ollie is a very, very good Phoenix player, so I think that they also got that going for themselves.
Even Kaka plays it actually. Previous teams used to play it a lot as well, so they can actually flex that from 5 to 4. What do you think of this Snapfire Tiny combination to start off with? Especially with the Tiny mid, I guess you have some nice burst, right?
We still don't know where the Tiny is going to go, but it seems like a very strong opener. You have a lot of boxes checked with just these 2 heroes. You always have like a repositioning tool on your allies, on the opponents as well. And Snapfire will Shredder kills egg level 1, so you got to be really careful until you hit that level 12.
There's the Morphling ban that we have been speaking about, just a highly contested hero. And actually, interestingly enough, IG gets rid of that Legion Commander. Do you think the performance last game was enough to justify it, or is it just because of the Phoenix this time? And the Mars, actually.
It's a pretty good, we call them steroids, like basically spells that amp up your cores to deal more damage.
Yeah, buffers.
Buffers, exactly. A pretty good buffer for the Tiny. And the Purge and the added save and stuff like that's always very nice. So I think it's just an overall, it's mostly about the Purge ability against the Phoenix and the BKB ability to tank the Sunray.
Yeah, and the attack speed, of course, against Eagle is going to be great. Monkey King, I definitely didn't think coming into this series that Monkey will be either picked or survive through the first big phase.
I think Spirit's just afraid of it to disrupt their laning phase. I think after game 1, they realized that they can't just let IG dominate the pace of the game. Even though they won that game, I think they felt it too. Like we saw it was a very clutch win, and you don't want to be in that position where you got to clutch it out like that every single game.
So what is it in game 2? So in game 2, they did fix that pace, right?
Right.
What was it about the draft you thought was lacking maybe in game 2?
I think they had the idea of that we need to have more pace, but I feel like the heroes that they picked were a little bit outdated, or like they don't really make sense to me. Like the Chaos Knight, I think in concept is a good idea. It does very well in its lane, and then you have these illusions that are going to fight for you. You don't really have to commit into the Doom. But I just feel like the hero's power level is too weak.
Yeah, they overdid it. Having both Shadow Fiend and CK in that game was a bit too much. Shadow Fiend was static in the mid game. You can't really make that many moves, especially with the build. There was no Shadow Blade early on, and that one dodge from Morphling with the waveform, that was top notch, or top luck skill, whatever you want to call it, because there was no sentry wards.
Yeah. So Team Spirit once again banned out the Lina. That makes me just immediately think of Leshrac. I think if you want to pick Lush though, you're most likely going to play with some sort of save, some sort of support that can keep your Leshrac alive.
So you were talking about how this is the Chinese mentality, that like you ban Lina, you pick Lesh. You think Spirit has adapted to that mentality now?
I think it's more, IG are definitely considering Leshrac as an option now that Lina's out of the pool. So this is something that you can do sometimes where the opponents ban certain heroes for you. And that basically gives you another ban. So let's say I'm in IG's position, I see them banning Lina, I'm like, Leshrac has 2 counters. Lina and whatever other hero they consider to be good against it. Like Invoker, for example, that was played against Lesh in the first game. Now you've opened up the door to potentially drafting Leshrac here. Whereas when both Lina and Invoker are open, that's not really a hero that you're considering.
Okay. And do you see this draft initial as a pretty decent Leshrac draft to play in?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good Lush game.
Okay.
You have the backup of
counters,
Phoenix
you're
and
a
Mars.
natural BKB buyer. I mean, you can go it as your second item, and then you don't care too much about Phoenix nor the Mars spells. Something that they played against Fnatic was ET and Tiny. ET is still available for Team Spirit if they want to go that combo, removing the basic magic resistance. As you said, the ET didn't look that great in the first game when they played it, but still feels really good to have another way of stopping a team fight.
So the benefits is like, I think Mira played the ET, and he traditionally plays more of those range type of position 4 heroes, and I would expect him to be on the Snapfire here. So Miposhka is more of that laning dominating type player. That's the type of hero he likes. So seeing him on the ET wouldn't be too surprising, though I do think the Phoenix is one of the better heroes at dealing with it, because you just slow down the attack speed so much, and he can't really fight.
I like your point, because Miposhka back in the day was the biggest enchanter spammer I've ever seen. He used to just run that hero every single time. What other heroes could we see that are lane dominators that you think would fit into his hero pool? Come to mind.
I mean, Bane was one of the ones I was thinking about, but many of the traditional like position 5s for CIS,
like
or sorry, the Eastern European, Disruptor, absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fit the game here, I would say.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure. I think it might just be the Snapfire 5 to match it up into the Phoenix.
Or they could just swap the lanes and play Snapfire position 5 from the safe lane and match it up against Phoenix potentially.
We've seen Bane now multiple times actually by IG. I feel like it's been picked every game. What do you see the strength of this pick here?
I feel the hero is just not picked enough. I expected this hero to be like super highly contested in the group stage, picked or banned every single time he is the lane dominator. You have this small budget save built in, and also BKB piercing ability. You don't necessarily need to get a 5-second duration grip, sometimes a second or a 2 during the BKB. As we've seen in the game number 1, was pretty clutch. So yeah, the positioning is key. I think he's very similar to Oracle in terms of positioning, where you make like 200 range ahead and then you straight up die.
Oh, interesting. There's a lane dominator that we haven't seen in a long time, which is the CM, and a classic combo with the Juggernaut. Is this a pocket strat we might be seeing here?
I think it's a response to the Phoenix Mars. I was thinking personally, PL I know is one of Yatoro's better heroes. So I was considering the PL when I saw the Bane. But they go with the Juggernaut. It's great against the Mars and Phoenix in lane. Now they have kill potential during the level 1. I think especially level 1 Phoenix now needs to be extremely careful, because you have the Nova into the spin and you can zone them out. And Crystal Maiden overall fits pretty well with the other heroes. And I know AUI thinks this hero is very, very strong right now, so he was surprised we haven't seen it more.
Are you afraid at all of the Fiend scripting the Juggernaut while he's spinning and stopping him completely?
It's one of the threats that they need to consider, but I think with how Juggernaut usually plays nowadays, you have both the Ags and you have the Omni Slash to get around, and you have the Healing Ward, right? So if the Healing Ward is alive and you get Fiend Script, you're most likely going to be able to tank through it.
Here we see Storm. That was a pick they've actually banned as respect ban multiple times for Emo. You tell me a bit about the strength about Emo and this hero Lacoste.
Yeah, Emo's Storm Spirit is legendary pretty much. You know, he, like, comparing him to some other Storm Spirit players, I think the farming patterns in general for Storm Spirits got better. We see this like newer type of a build with the Soul Ring as well, where you like farm the small camp. It's very important to try to block it, and then you pick up the 3-minute rune, come back, kill the small camp again, come to your lane. Storm Spirit comes online very quickly. There are not too many counters in this game. There is a bite coming out from the Crystal Maiden. For the rest, he should be okay if he has enough mana to try to dodge the other spells, and Juggernaut doesn't feel comfortable playing into Storm Spirit.
Are you still seeing this as tiny mid right now, or do you think it's still an open flex?
I think there's potential to run the Snapfire 3 and Tiny 4.
Oh.
It doesn't really strike me as something that I would imagine Team Spirit does very often, but it could be a good way to answer like the problems of laning against Bane, because you get a much stronger hero in the lane there.
Could you Tiny 3 here, potentially?
Yeah, you could.
I think you could Tiny 3, but I think against Bane a lot of the time, like... I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, you could. I don't dislike it. The more I think about it. It just feels a bit weird in the current meta of like how Tiny's build, with the item build that Tiny likes to go for.
Because Collapse has done it in the past, Tiny 3.
Yeah, no, I can see it.
And you have mana, that's what's important. Tiny consumes a lot of mana when he's played either as a position 4 or a position 3, and this time around you have Crystal Maiden, so that's going to help out quite a lot.
Yeah.
You banned out, that's a Night Stalker, right?
Yeah, IG thinks that it's going to be position 4 Tiny, banning out Night Stalker and Lycan.
Or a 2 Tiny, right? And they're banning partners or something.
Yeah.
Yes,
could be even.
exactly. What heroes would you were talking about the bans that they got to protect Leshrac, but it also protects the Storm in the same way. Is there any other hero you're thinking about right now? Like, okay, let's get rid of that in case they, or that you think would be really good against the Storm?
A lot of, like, Virtus Pro, when they play Storm Spirit, Queen of Pain is the one band that they get rid of, Puck is the other one, and Lina. Like, these are the bands that they protect the Storm Spirit pick with. So, yeah, Team Spirit, the leash mechanic. I don't think I've seen a single game from the games that have been casted throughout the group stage. Puck was not picked at all. It was banned out, always against the Storm Spirit, but never picked.
I actually saw this matchup quite a few times, and I think while the Puck is good with the Dream Coil, now with how Storms can buy Kaya Sanch and Bloodstone, they have a way to really survive through it. They can tank through it. And I think between the Nightmare Sleep and the Phoenix heals, it might be enough to keep the Storm alive. But other than that, there's no stunts on Spirit. It's very hard for Spirit to kill the Puck. They did buff the Bane Fiend script cast time.
Oh, for IG.
For IG, sorry, yeah. Killing the Puck for IG is going to be difficult in this game.
Okay.
And I think like now, it's really up to the Bane, right? You got to grip either the Puck or the Juggernaut. So I think
elongated.
Whoa, how is Emo destroying mid this hard? I just realized.
We're watching Kaka get slowly chased down by Miposhka.
Oh.
This is one of the longest chases of all time. He has 5 mangoes.
Possibly
another
dying.
frostbite to come.
Yep.
And there we go. Another kill going the way of Team Spirit. So yeah, mid lane 17-1 to 10-0.
This is not that Storm favorite of the lane. Emo is just outplaying here. Toronto, Tokyo by a decent amount in the first few waves. Good news if you're an IG fan. Getting Emo off to a good start. We've covered this in the last couple of games.
Yeah,
and he is exceptionally good on Storm. But, like we talked again previously, he has also had a couple of, like, slightly, I don't know if you want to call them facepalm moments during, I think it was one of our games we cast where Emo just went way too crazy on Storm. I think they ended up winning anyway. But he is prone to a little bit of over-aggression at times, bottom lane. Decent damage onto JT. We'll reset away.
Just going to get salved and we'll be good to go. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this before. Just kind of overconfidence from Emo at times. But, I mean, talking about puck, though, Toronto Tokyo's puck is really freaking good. We've cast a lot of his games. And some of them were pre-nerf, right? He's been nerfed since then. So
that's true.
A lot of games we've been seeing, you know, some mid laners partake in some puck and they haven't looked so good. So interested to see if Toronto Tokyo does it. But we saw it game 1 where he was split pushing with Invoker. Does a lot of that with puck, especially if he's behind. So we'll see.
Kind of a dangerous split push game, though. Against Spectre, Storm, Bane. It's not going to be easy.
That's true.
This time around to do that. One of the big upsides to Bane that I think is underappreciated maybe sometimes. Everyone is very much focused around the the laning. Oh, hang on, he might actually die here.
Yep, Avatar set up with the cookie and down goes Ollie. Scatterblast was enough.
Ironically, one of the things people consider so strong about Bane is the laning, as he just got crushed from full HP there. He's facing a really, really powerful lane here with Snapfire being one of the worst matchups the hero has, in my opinion, in lane. But yeah, what Bane usually brings to the table, it's the pseudo-save of Nightmare, it's the grip, but also just the ability to, because you don't have the ability to wave clear, you never really need to show mid-late game at all. Like, you can sit in a tree line and wait for someone to go for the play we just talked about, where puck starts cutting waves, and then find a good pick that way.
And looking at Fly's CS right now, he is sitting on 18-2. Versus the 21-6 Juggernaut, so relatively even across the position ones at least. But mid lane still being dominated right now by Emo. A 10 CS lead at 4.5 minutes is...
That's substantial.
It is. Toronto Tokyo is still getting pretty good farm. Like, this is probably normal farm. It's just Emo's getting literally every last hit, it feels like.
Toronto Tokyo is still ahead on net worth, but that's because he got First Blood.
Yeah,
so
true.
Obviously, even with First Blood in this mid lane, he was still... I don't know if I want to call it losing to Emo here, but Emo is definitely still having a great time. So, very well done by him.
We'll see another Ava into the toss, back into Mira. Cookie does not connect.
Not a good cookie, unfortunately.
And Mira will fall as a result of this. Ollie takes a little residual damage from collapse in the meantime, but they'll have to just cut their losses.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
That bot lane now is JT. Had himself a pretty good series so far. He's had a really good group stage, I have to say. There's going to be the first coil of the game. It's going to be broken immediately into the Waning Rift. Illusory Orb.
Oh, it feels real bad if he doesn't get the kill here.
Fine, just barely.
Oh. It's one thing not getting the kill, but it's the time, right?
Yeah.
Storm is now 20 CS ahead. He's pushing the
Avatar, Scatterblast, Fire, or Fly. Looks like he's actually going to live. Spectre, one of the tankier position ones in the game.
Definitely major upside against a lane like this that is so burst-oriented.
As an off-lane Tiny, do you think, I mean, you still go Silver Edge at some point against Spectre, right?
Maybe you can do that on Jugger. I think it depends what they value the most out of their Tiny, because he could also go for like a catch build. That's a dead bait, by the way.
Yep.
Oh, nice fairy.
All right, he's going to live for a little bit, but the toss finishes him off. 4-1 advantage for Team Spirit. So game 2 and 3 starting off kind of similarly in terms of the kills, but it's really the mid lane that's the story right now. But we can just call it a wash just because of that first blood.
Pretty much. And again, I think the two heroes on IG that you could be concerned about, because they are very much dependent on that good start. I think both Storm and Spectre are feeling pretty good about this, right? Fly has a kill and 30 CS, and Emo must be... You know, you have like a mental checklist for what's good farm. Having 10 CS per minute, minute 7 a Storm, Pretty happy with that. It's not going to get... Like, how can you get more than this, theoretically, apart from having a guy stacking all your camps? He's basically got everything he can. So...
That's very true. Looks like Collapse is... oh, we're going to see the coil in the mid lane. Mira kind of coming in the vicinity here, but Ollie is TP'd as well. Toronto Tokyo trying to get the first damage. Scatterblast is going to be enough. Toronto Tokyo takes out Emo. Mira gets slept, but there's not going to be a whole lot of damage between this Phoenix and Bane, and Ollie, he's completely surrounded here. A couple more right clicks, and the loser of double kill for Toronto Tokyo as Team Spirit doing very well.
I love the way that that Toronto Tokyo used the sounds there. He was very patient. He saw the Bane TP coming. Okay, Cookie. That's cute.
Cookie on the creep. Do they have
gonna work?
Frostbite with the illusory orb? It's not a triple kill, but we've called it that as Haunt comes in. First of the game, they're going to try to go for Toronto Tokyo. The zip in from Emo. He wants revenge. Illusory orb, but looks like Toronto Tokyo will fall. And now Meposhka might be next on the list. Gets off the Frostbite. And Emo not with a ton of mana left, but Fly will be trying to pursue. In fact, Emo might be in trouble here as Yataro's made a transition. Doesn't look like the Cookie connects, so away Emo goes.
Well, Fly gets to the high ground, but he has mana for TP now. He has to get out of there immediately. Yeah, and he will make it. So, yeah, it looked like a nice kill. I really like the way they cast their spells to execute this kill on the Phoenix behind the tower, but of course it does compromise Puck's position just enough that Storm respawns and finds the counter kill.
Mars Arena Collapse. Ends up getting procced by the spear, and Emo cleans it up. Eventually, JT gets credit for that one. So nice rotations as feels like at 8.5 minutes we've had a trade of tier 1 top and bottom in both games, and that's not even remotely the case this time around.
Well, Spirit have done more structural damage for sure. Like the have IG? Okay, IG have hit a tower. They've hit a little bit on mid and top, but yeah, the top tower for Spirit looking a lot healthier. So all in all, still very, very close early on, and you just gotta wonder what's gonna happen as soon as the first round of items comes in, right? So Storm is queuing up the Orchid, Puck is going Boots of Travel, it looks like here, Toronto Tokyo. Not too uncommon, but also a little bit risky sometimes, especially playing against a hero like Storm who wants to go Orchid. Yeah. You're not gonna be like that step ahead where you already have the Yules when the Orchid comes out, so you are a little bit exposed that way. But
I mean, he's definitely made it work in many games that we've casted him in the past, so see if that comes to be again. Of course, it is against Emo, like you said. An absolute beast. Toronto Tokyo about to hit level 9 here. Has his coil available. Looking for an opening. Is Collapse trying to bait a bit. Oh, Spear does not connect with a tree, but here comes the coil from afar into the ult from Snapfire. Avalanche to follow. Ollie's in the vicinity. Gets off the Nightmare, but looks like JT's going to barely tick out there. They expend a lot. TP support from IG. And Team Spirit get the kill. And they're going to try to go for this tier 1 top as well. They're going to be stopped in their tracks for now. Toronto Tokyo picks up a double damage rune. Was not denied by an illusion this time. And Yataro.
It's kind of incredible. He could find an angle for that spear to not land on the tree.
Yeah, that was
such
pretty
a
unfortunate.
small window.
Well, I think one tree was missing at that time as well.
Yeah, the one in between them at the back, but still, even then, it's a pretty narrow window there.
It looks like IG's going to defend here. They will be successful. But yeah, Yataro is farming really well, actually. I mean, Spectre's one of those heroes that farms a little bit slower, at least at the beginning stages, than Juggernaut, but they're basically on the same footing right now. But yeah, it will be Aghanim Scepter for Fly eventually after the Falcon Blade. So he will not be going for, well, maybe Orchid after. We'll see. Yeah, Collapse. Going to get the Avalanche into the Cookie, into the toss as well. Scatterblast turns them off. And there, you see another coil expended for JT. He gets off his ult as TP supports are on their way. He's going to get bursted down, though. And Emo with Fly coming in on that haunt. They're going to be able to clean up 2 kills right off the bat, but it's just 2 supports. Double kill for Fly. Now Toronto Tokyo's here with the double damage. Of course, no coil, 60 seconds on the deck here, but gets the Waning Rift. Not sure if he's going to finish this off. Toss onto Emo. Yataro has a healing ward. Going to try to spin here. He's taking a ton of damage in the meantime, though. He's just going to get right-clicked down very casually by Emo. You see the egg on the backside here, but Won't end up resulting in any kind of stun. So a little bit too aggressive, perhaps. They're staying too long for Team Spirit.
What is it with TI and tossing people from your own team into trouble, huh? That's a pretty...
It's so tempting.
Memorable moment from a different year. I don't think that one was on purpose, though. This one was. But that toss did not work out the way they wanted it to. And they even got a really good Avalanche, because Jugger got Fiend Script, and immediately Avalanche canceled the Fiend Script, and he still couldn't get the Omni Slash off.
Yeah. You see the replay here. So they end up killing the Phoenix, who, the fact that he eggs at the end of this fight just shows how long it went here. A very extended fight overall.
And this is what IG's lineup can do. The moment you start committing, this global presence of Storm Spec can always come in and punish when cooldowns are out. And it's very understandable that Spirit wants to chase here, right? You have a DD puck, you know the enemy team is somewhat out of resources. Sidestep from Toronto Tokyo there to not get Fiend Script, but here is the problem. So instant cancel on that grip.
Yeah, and he never Omni Slashes either.
He's
Maybe
just taking too much
not
damage.
sure if he would have gotten
right
kills. Yeah. He's yet to actually Omni Slash this game, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
I mean, it could have been a lot worse, honestly. Collapse did live at the very least, but...
And now Collapse will take that top tower, obviously, with those cooldowns not ready for IG. They're not interested in trying to defend without Supernova or Haunt, so a little bit of a silver lining there, at least that they grabbed the first tower of the game, but the question is if they're going to be able to defend their own bottom as well, or if it's just going to be a trade in the end. Kaka's eyeing up a Yules. I think it's probably a pretty good choice here. Maybe he's worried about the puck silence, and he wants to make sure that he can get his Supernova off. Just TPing bot, yeah, it's going to be a tower trade. They're making very sure here. TPing Phoenix bottom here is basically them saying, all right, we take no risk here, just in case Spirit want to defend. Since they have Omni, we're going to have as many heroes as possible in the neighborhood, and now they realize, okay, defense is not coming, so they're going to rotate. And Kaka will maybe stack a little bit of Ancients here. I don't know if they want to do that. Seems like that's a yes.
Yeah, Ollie TP's mid. Looks like IG want to defend this mid tower potentially. But Team Spirit is completely set up here. Yataro is at half HP though, does not have Healing Ward to use. We'll see how they want to actually initiate here. As there's the toss back onto JT, gets silenced right off the bat, can't get his Margarine off. Nice layering with the cookie, but Arena actually blocks off the Snapfire. He cannot kill the egg as a result. That's one death, make it two, and Team Spirit getting destroyed in this fight. The Mars Arena perfectly placed. We talked about that combo as Yataro now on the run. Spin TP looks to be successful.
Such a godly setup there from IG. They make